Quincy Wilson just made a statement that he cannot be denied an opportunity to be in the Team USA relay pool. Not a loss, not his age, and not any disappointment. The 16-year-old, after running in a men's 400 meters race at the Holloway Pro Classic some nights back, took first place with a world record-breaking 44.20 seconds, adding to his world under-18 record from a few weeks ago during the Olympic trials. Quincy was fighting it out with some of the nation's top pros all the way home under the lights at the University of Florida in Gainesville, and the rising high school junior pulled away from runner-up Bryce Deadman just before the finish line. What a great day to be alive. He made a huge improvement on his previous personal best of 44.59 seconds, which he ran during the semifinals of the trials in Eugene, Oregon. At the biggest sporting event of his young career, Wilson broke the under-18 world record twice before finishing 6th in the final at Hayward Field, all before earning his driver's license. Talk about driving in a record before actually driving a car. His last performance puts him at number 6 of the world ranking so far this year. He attends the Bullis School in Potomac, Maryland, and already has an NIL deal with New Balance. Despite missing a win at the Olympic trials, Wilson was named to the Team USA relay pool selections bound for Paris. The top 3 finishers at the trials, plus the next 3 fastest athletes, are being considered to compete on the 4x400 meter relay. This is beyond luck. Wilson said he is bound to leave for Paris in the coming days. Track events featuring the mixed gender 4x400 relay is slated for August 2nd, while the men's 4x400 relay begins on August 9th. As a member of the relay pool, Wilson is the youngest male athlete to ever be named on the US Olympic track and field team. If anyone in the world recognizes talent in the 400-meter races, it is definitely 4-time gold medalist Michael Johnson from the Olympics, who is also an 8-time winner of the World Championships gold medal. Johnson became the only male winner of gold in both 200 and 400-meter races in the same Olympics, when he blistered the field in the 1996 Atlanta Games, then defended his 400-meter championship in the 2000 Sydney Games. After the latest record set by teenager Quincy Wilson, Johnson has seen enough to make ascertain that Quincy Wilson is indeed a kid with huge talent. Johnson said that he hasn't commented on Quincy because usually it leads to predictions about his future and people don't grasp that it's more complicated than his being fast and so young is different from being really fast older. Johnson said this in his post on his social media platform X. He simply said it was not that simple. This, he said, when Wilson set a under 18 400-meter world record with a 44.20 run at the Holloway Pro Classic in Florida. Johnson couldn't hold himself back like many of us couldn't and wrote in the same post, "Goddamn, this kid is a beast." Wilson has been talked about in track and field circles for quite a while, but he was able to finally prove his potential this year after starting with a personal best of 45.87 seconds. He has now set a new personal record 7 times this year, including twice in the Olympic qualifiers. Even though he did not qualify for an individual race, Wilson is in the men's relay pool. That is a good way to launch his career at the world's biggest sports stage. The 16-year-old's performances caught the eyes of the legends with these performances. It will be a moment watched worldwide when the 2024 Paris Olympics begins and the youngest ever US male track Olympian among the 6 runners compete for gold in the men's pool for the 4x400. It was left in Quincy Wilson's control whether he would become the youngest male ever to make the US Olympic track and field team. Initially, Wilson's bid for an automatic ticket to the Paris Olympics ended previously when he finished out of the top 3 in the men's 400 meters final at the US Olympic trials. His time of 44.94 seconds put him in 6th place, well behind winner Quincy Hall and fellow Olympic qualifiers Michael Norman and Chris Bailey. Must have been disappointing for him. Coming off the final turn at Hayward Field, Wilson trailed 8 of the fastest 400-meter runners in America, some of which are seasoned pros and who were as much as twice his age. Wilson came from behind to nearly catch 3 of the men in front of him on the home stretch, not bad for a kid who just finished his sophomore year of high school. Wilson's chance to be in the Olympics had then depended on whether the team would make a 7 men's 400-meter runners, which would include 3 qualified for the individual event, 2 more eligible for the men's 4x400-meter relay, and 2 others who would be a part of the mixed relay that will make their debut in Paris. All this eventually happened, and our young prodigy is on his way to Paris. In 2021, the top 7 finishers in the 400 final at trials all were part of the relay pool. 8th place Will London was an alternate in case someone else was injured or unavailable. That Wilson is in this position is remarkable considering he turned 16 in January, and yes, to strike it home, he still doesn't have a driver's license. He's about a year younger than middle distance runner Jim Ryan, who made the US Olympic team in 1964 at 17 years, 137 days old. Wilson first gained notice in track and field circles after his family moved from Chesapeake, Virginia to Gaithersburg, Maryland, so that he could attend a private school known as a track and field powerhouse. The energetic young sprinter piled up trophies and shattered national age group records as a freshman and sophomore at the Bullis School. But last September, Wilson's NIL deal with New Balance came while he was just 15 years old. This young lad is starting off on a massive note, and we love it for him. In April this year, he signed with WME Sports, the same agency that represents Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. Now that's a huge catch. For a rising high school junior to constantly outrun his peers was one thing. It was an entirely different matter to face off against men in their prime. This was what Wilson faced while he competed for a spot at the Olympics, a feat that is not just commendable but is something entirely unique. As Wilson has said earlier in the month during an appearance on the Citius Mag podcast, he was indeed racing with the big dogs and he had to put on his big boy boots. While making his Olympic trials debut nights ago, Wilson shattered a 42-year-old under-18 world's record in winning his men's 400 heat in 44.66 seconds. That record would last just 2 days as Wilson lowered it once more in the 400 semi-final Saturday, rallying after the final turn to clock 44.59 seconds and advanced to the final. The buzz really got going on Wilson after those performances. Deion Sanders congratulated him on X. He went from his preliminary heat not being shown live on NBC at the start of the trials to being a feature attraction of the network's night broadcast at the final day of the trials. During outdoor events in high school, Wilson was able to unveil his speed and stamina with his personal best performances in events such as a personal best of 10.74 seconds in 100-meter dash. He shows strength in being able to hold that speed over the longer distance with a time of 21.11 seconds in 200-meter dash. The 400-meter dash should be one of Wilson's strongest events, with an impressive personal record of 44.59 seconds. His indoor event records are also outstanding. Quincy set a new US high school record. The young talented lad finished 6th in the 400 final at the US, a feat that doesn't happen often in the world of track sport. Quincy Wilson's high school stats are those of a young athlete who is remarkably gifted but above all dedicated to his craft. His indoor and outdoor performances in all types of sprint distances show his potential to become the best in the sport. Having already broken records and having personal bests while competing with the world's best talents, the future only holds promise for this young man particular to track and field. Well, that's it for today's video, folks. Make sure to subscribe for more content just like this. See you on the next one.